What's going on, everybody? This is the Bigger Than 12 Soccer Show. I'm Danny Catula,
I'm Seth Leapart.
and we are bringing you what happened, what's happening now, and what to expect in the Big 12 women's soccer scene. There's a lot to get to. We are in the middle of the Big 12 slate, so let's go ahead and get into it. You take a look at the standings, and there was one name at the top that is not there anymore, Seth. Colorado had a big game this weekend, two of the best teams in the Big 12. Could not use home field advantage. They struggled 6-1 loss to TCU. That has a pretty big impact on what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, pretty brutal. You see, they dropped 4 spots. They were in first, correct?
That's
they were
right.
in first. They dropped 4 spots. Hopefully, they can get back on track. They actually play Texas Tech next, I believe, on Thursday on the 10th. So that'll be a huge game with massive implications for the rest of the season, honestly.
That's right. Top 25 team. They remain in the top 25 for now. If they're going to keep things that way, that game against Texas Tech will be a big reason why. And you look at Texas Tech, they are 2-0 at home, haven't lost away either in the conference. Of course, they are undefeated, 5-0-1. West Virginia's up there too. TCU, of course, with that win, 2 ties, but have yet to lose this season. On the other side of things, we had another game that probably should have been closer than it was. Cincinnati really leveled up. They're up to 2-4. You see them in the middle of the slate now. They were right down there at the bottom dwellers with Houston, who is still at 0 wins, 0 ties either. They're 0-6, still struggling to adjust to Big 12 soccer life, and that was a 4-1 decision. Cincinnati used their home field advantage in this case. They were able to get themselves back up towards the middle of the pack.
So the season's about halfway done, and the standings are starting to take a place. There's a lot of teams in the middle of the pack, as you can see, and I feel like just anything's possible still at this point. Obviously, Texas Tech, West Virginia, TCU up at the top, but it feels like it's still open, really.
That's right. More to come. Tactical analysis, interviews from around the league. All of that is next on the Big 12 Soccer Show. Stick with us. We are taking a look at our tactical analysis piece. And this is what I want to show you guys this week. You've got Utah playing Arizona State. This was last Friday. Two teams who were pretty much in the middle of the pack, expected to have a pretty close game. Maybe you give the edge to the Sun Devils given that they're at home. Not so. Utah comes into their place, one of the nicer facilities in the conference, and wins 3-1. And I want to explain a little bit of why. We're going to get into the weeds a little bit, get a little bit nerdy once a week, and this is the week a match that I've chosen. And so here's what we're looking at. We'll put Arizona State in red. And so these are going to be their attackers. And I'll show you how they're lined up trying to defend and press Utah, because both teams are trying to build out of the back. And I'll explain what that means here in a second. So red is going to be my players for Arizona State. We'll put Utah on white. So here's what it looks like. The goalkeeper's got the ball. And you're going to have these defenders spread out here. And Arizona State, the way they press looked very different from the way Utah did. So again, Utah's got the ball. They're going to move the ball around here between their defenders. They'll move it up here. And once they get into this sort of space, they have a lot of room to work with in these triangles in midfield. They've got their wingers out there as well. And Arizona State is pretty static. So what ASU wants to try to do with these sorts of moments when the ball's back here, they're not really trying to cut out these passing lanes. They're just trying to get the ball back within these three players. And so what they're going to do is try to press up. They're all going to kind of get together. And so you'll see all of this. They're just going to follow the ball. They're trying to wait for a Utah mistake. Now, the problem with this is Utah is going to be able to bypass that completely. And these other ASU players, let's say they're back here, now they're going to struggle because the same thing keeps happening up the field further and further until Utah State grabs a goal. It's how they got their first goal. Everybody was standing still for ASU, and it wasn't an effort problem. It was an issue of they were not in position because Utah had all the onus of attack on them. They were dictating everything that happened in the run of play. Now, let's switch it a little bit. So we'll clear the board. And now we'll go over here where Utah's pressing. And Utah's going to press a little bit differently because they're going to press with more players. They've almost got 2 layers of their press. So all of their midfielders are really pressed up too. And what that means is Arizona State, here's their goalkeeper. When they get a goal kick or when they've got the ball in their own end, major difference here is these three pressing up here, here, and here. That's going to allow this striker at the top to stay up top. And so what that creates, let's get the ball in here, is when the ball goes to one side, Arizona State does not have their layoff option, that kind of backwards pass that Utah does when they're pressing. And so you're going to see this midfielder step up and fill this space. And the goalkeeper is hardly even an option a lot of times either. So ASU only has the option to try and go wide up the line. And they did this a lot, but Utah's back line here defensively, if we throw these gals out there, the difference is they know exactly what they have coming. So this guy's going to press up. These players are going to get in position, and they know exactly what to expect. So unless Arizona State from here in the corner where they're kind of trapped is going to go across the field, switch the play, try to go really long, not in the arsenal of most amateur soccer players. And so as a result, Utah was able to pretty sizably predict what ASU was going to do, completely change the game, and it forced ASU to play a way that they don't like to without the ball. That is a big reason why Utah were able to find 3 goals and Arizona State was not. As a result, the Utes take it away from home, and it's a big win for them, catapulting them into the middle of the table, and they do pass Arizona State in the standings. Before we let you go, one thing that each of us are looking forward to going into this upcoming week of Big 12 soccer. Seth, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm really pumped for the Texas Tech Colorado game. The Buffs are heading to Lubbock, Texas. Peyton Parsons, 7 goals, 3 game winners. A matchup between 1 and 4 is just going to be huge for the rest of the season, honestly.
Well, and it's not the only one this Thursday. My big thing of the week, West Virginia taking on TCU. They're headed out to Texas. They've got a weekend trip against TCU and Baylor. The big one I'm looking out for is that Thursday game. Horned Frogs and the Mountaineers. West Virginia led by Nikki Izzo-Brown. 29th season as West Virginia's head coach, 30th as a women's coach in general. She is highly underrated in the conference and I think could really make the difference. It's a team that knows what its identity is, and they're going to have to prove it against TCU. Seth, that's it for this week. Yeah. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week on the Bigger Than 12 Soccer Show.